let's get into our first story of the day. Amanda, you were quite heated about this last night when we were working on the script, so why don't you take it away?
All right. So, as a musician, I am very involved with trying to figure out, I don't know, trying to figure out ways to, still promote my music and still try to, get out there. And as many musicians are, because right now touring is impossible because of COVID and everything. We've talked about how no concerts, no theater shows, no really anything is happening right now. So, a lot of people have taken the initiative to, start streaming on Facebook. And it was going well, but apparently Facebook is stopping that. And apparently, according to loudwire.com, effective October 1st, Facebook is taking steps to limit the ability of bands to promote videos that will create a music listening experience for yourself or for others. This also extends to Facebook Live, which has been especially a popular avenue for live stream concerts in the pandemic era. So this got, I know, a lot of musicians in my feed very stressed out and annoyed because they have really not a lot of options and things. And they were confused because they didn't understand what this new policy means. And Facebook did have to clarify. And the policy says you may not use videos on your products to create a music listening experience, which means, quote, our partnerships with rights holders have brought people together around music on our platforms. As part of our licensing agreement, there are limitations around the amount of recorded music that can be included in live broadcasts or videos. While the specifics of our licensing agreements are confidential, today we're sharing some general guidelines on how to plan to make your videos better. Music and stories in traditional live music performances are for example, filming an artist or a band performing, they're fine. That's good. The greater the number of full-length recorded tracks, though, in a video might be limited, and Facebook might stop you from having, you can't record, a whole album because they're going to stop you. Shorter clips of music are recommended. There should always be a visual component to your video. So if there's, actually, some kind of visual being shown while the music's playing, that's always better than nothing. The guidelines are consistent across live and recorded video on both. And Facebook and Instagram for all types of account, pages, profiles, or unverified accounts. And although music is launched on our platforms in more than 90 countries, there are places where it is not yet available. So some countries it may be limited and such for where this might be a thing. I don't know. I just find this interesting, Ryan. What do you think about this whole thing of music being I don't know, almost in a sense limited?
The Zuck strikes again. That's all I gotta say. I don't get it. Come on. We've seen, the world just not even, well, all right, not the world. Well, obviously the world, but the music industry specifically just ravaged by COVID. And online streaming of concerts and stuff has really helped artists.
Yeah.
It's not even financially speaking, it's just helped them have an outlet. I mean, I'm sure as an artist, you can probably admit it's just a good outlet.
It is. And I think what's rough about this is like I said earlier is you can't really go anywhere else. You might have some limited gigs right now because as restaurants and stuff are opening back up, some people are taking the response to add bands back and such, but not everybody feels comfortable with that, and especially with this capacity thing. So the streaming platform has been an option, an avenue, and as many people know, a lot of times they're still not making money off of it anyways.
Yeah,
but
it's
because that's the thing,
the
touring gets them money. A lot of people don't realize that's why bands tour, is because that's how they get money. Nobody's getting money from Spotify or Apple Music because it's 0.0007. It's literally the smallest amount of money possible that you get from Spotify and stuff. So that's why people go on tour, because they get the merchandise sales and they get all these other sales. And so sometimes people have been even paying for experiences online on Facebook and such. And with this being Facebook limiting that now, it's kind of weird. And I know a lot of people were saying there's also ways around it too, because if you play more obscure music or maybe stuff in the public domain or stuff that's your own, then you can't really get stopped. But if you're going to play a Beyonce song on your live stream, it's going to be pretty stopped pretty fast, So I don't know, Ryan, not Ryan, Kyle, do you have anything to say about this whole Facebook streaming thing?
I've not been too much of a stream person myself until recently. Like I never actually even before this, I've never really been a concert person. I was more content with just like putting my music on by myself, but this whole thing just seems absurd to just ban almost but not completely ban music from the because I from what you said, it's they're banning like actual bands from playing. Did I get that right?
In a sense, like it depends on like the specific rules. Like so like if you're a band like that releases all original music and it's your own, like you should be fine. But like also I don't know where that goes in because like how do you know, for instance, like I don't know if we take. I'm trying to think of a band right now. Like if we take a band like Shinedown, they're really big now.
Yes.
If we take a really big known band like that and they start playing their own music, is Facebook gonna know this is their own music? You know what I mean? Like in a
Yeah,
sense, like who knows?
I think that happens with like all platforms too. Like I think YouTube could have that problem too. Like you put up
Exactly.
a music, but they're like, no, this is copyrighted. It's like
And I think it's
that's
like
mine.
this time during like the quarantine and the pandemic and stuff, people have just been taking to like these platforms and such for just to just have fun and stream these kind of concerts, even if they're covers. Like I remember
Right.
towards I think it was like April or May, Post Malone did a whole Nirvana set. And it was
Oh,
awesome.
really?
And it was on YouTube. And I watched it. I remember this is a cool vibe. It's different. You don't get this all the time because usually he's playing his own music. And it was a cool thing. But like think if that went to Facebook, he would have gotten in so much trouble
Yeah.
and it would have gotten stopped. So like that's where I'm just like I don't know. This is like the one avenue musicians have been like relying on now too to get fans to like watch them and listen to them. I've probably seen it all now with musicians in my feed. Some of them have been getting back into the gig places like at restaurants and stuff and gigging. Some
Yeah.
people I've seen do things in their driveway, like and invite like people. They're like, you could social distance on my driveway and we'll like do a concert in the middle of by my house. Like
That's
I've
pretty
seen it
cool.
literally everywhere and like all these different ideas. I've seen people do like a couch series where they're literally just jamming on their couch, but then they stream it. And then like that streaming has become an avenue for people to still be able to listen to music and still be able to have an audience of some sort. And so like this kind of disappoints me.
Yeah.
I don't like it's I don't know. Like I guess I understand it in a way of yes, you're still playing copyrighted music, but if you were at a bar or a restaurant, you wouldn't have been stopped.
No.
If you know what I mean, you'd be playing covers like and nobody would stop you because the restaurant already pays for the music to be played.
Yeah, I was at a restaurant the other day and they had a live band doing covers. Nobody,
Exactly.
Zuckerberg
Because
didn't rush in and shut them down.
because the other thing is I took like a music licensing course last year here at MSU and it's very interesting because like each restaurant and bar or wherever you go that has is playing music of some sort, even whether it's a streaming platform or whether there's live music, they pay for that to be okay. I
Right.
mean, I'm not saying everybody does because you know some people just don't do that, but what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get a license. You're supposed to
Right.
get a license to have musicians perform and such, and it covers any time that you're playing a cover in your bar or restaurant or any rights with artists and things. And so in that case, then why is it such a big deal? You know, you're going to post something on YouTube. It's not this, you don't get stopped unless someone finds it. So
Right.
why has this become like a whole thing? I don't know.
And you know what else is interesting, Kyle? I believe I talked with you outside of the buzz. Where aren't you starting to get interested in streaming when it comes to video games?
Actually, video games and art. I've been doing a lot this weekend with it, and so
So
I'm
an
in that thing now. So
That's awesome. So, like, an interesting thing I've noticed as someone who kind of consumes a lot of, esports content and a lot of just video game live streams and whatnot, I've noticed that a lot of gamers who stream will have music playing in the background,
yes,
like on their Twitch streams.
right, yeah,
And what they also have is they'll basically have like, in the top corner or whatever of their overlay, it'll have like they'll have a setup where it says like, oh, this song is currently playing.
oh really?
And it's just licensed music. It's like actual like music. It's not like some free lo-fi radio in the background.
You
They
can
have
do that?
like song. It's weird, right? So
Yeah, because
you can't always do that.
yeah,
It
it seems
depends on the
everyone.
streamer.
Yeah, it seems like everyone knows a way around it, but me.
And okay, so what I would say too is going off this video game thing, I've never been someone to like watch someone stream, so that's you guys for video games. But my question, as someone that doesn't play video games but has seen people like stream those, isn't that copyright too? When you think about it, you're streaming a game that already exists and that you didn't make and that you didn't create, but you're going to just play online for people. So technically you're streaming a game that's already copyrighted. It's like you streaming a movie onto Facebook.
It's weird. I think when it comes to like streaming, so actually there are some games that you can't stream or upload videos of you playing. So I know Nintendo for the longest time had some extremely strict rules
But like,
on
do you
that.
blame them for that?
No, you don't. But at the same time, it's almost like
'Cause
free advertising for the game.
But it almost gives you like, I feel like a disadvantage as a video game company, because if you see someone already like, I don't play video games, so I really don't know. But like, if you see someone play a game online and you're like, oh, this is kind of like boring, I don't really like it, this looks too easy, I'm not gonna go buy it now. Like, when normally you might go buy it, you know?
Right.
Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you might go buy it and just be like, all right, I'm good, I'm ready, I'm gonna go try this out.
Yeah.
But if you
and
take
see if
the
I
other,
like it.
if you take the other side of the coin, you might see somebody play a game, and even though it might not be your style of game, the whole idea is, if they are having like, if they're entertaining to watch, because it's not just about watching the game, it's also like watching a
Personality.
streamer.
Yeah.
Personality. So you notice like the most popular streamers, they have a whole personality going. It's
Yeah.
not just like their talent at the game. I mean, some of the most popular streamers aren't even great at video games.
No, they're horrible, and that's what
They're
makes it great.
terrible at them, but they're hilarious to watch. So if you look at them having fun, even if it might not be your game, then you might be more inclined to do it. But I also see what you're saying. It's like, yeah, if you look at a game and you're like, oh, maybe this isn't the kind of thing for me.
It definitely makes me question like what else Facebook is like looking at. Like, are they looking at like the video game kind of stuff and like all that other?
Well, it's
Maybe,
interesting.
but I don't think many people play video games off of Facebook. Like Twitch has become that thing.
Yeah, Twitch kind of has that
I know
market
Twitch has become
cornered,
it, but I feel like also at the same time, you like, if you're trying to really like promote yourself or something, you're gonna like try to use all different platforms.
Right.
So
yeah,
like that's why
obviously.
I mean, like, you might be streaming on Twitch, but you also might be streaming on Facebook. You know what I mean? In some respect, I don't know, like, because you have a different audience on Facebook. So I don't know. I think this is weird. If we go back to the music thing, like, I just feel bad. I feel bad for all the musicians, and as a musician myself, I kind of know where they're coming from, and I understand it's like this struggle, but like, and I understand where kind of Facebook's coming from, but also at the same time, like, just let musicians be musicians.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts on the matter?
I did want to say one thing. Like, I think like with video components or like video games in general, I think like there's a rule that if you put your own commentary over it, it kind of makes it okay, which is probably why nobody gets copyrighted for that.
The licensing game is like very confusing. I honestly still get confused by it. It's odd because it technically fair use is like if you're parodying something or you're for educational purposes, you can't really get copyrighted, but sometimes people still do, and then other times like you have to like fight on that. But otherwise, if you're making your own cover of something, and it's just like for performance based kind of thing, like you just want people to see it, you want to promote yourself, that is technically like not fair use because you are stealing from the person. So it's a confusing game. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just in general, I think it's just like a shame to see, like, it's like we said, the COVID really just screwed over the music industry, like, recently. I mean, like you were talking about a minute, it's like a lot of, like, so many concerts. You had concerts that were, like,
I had
canceled.
gigs that were canceled.
We at WMSC used to do concert giveaways, and,
I think there's something else that I wanted to add, too. There's the idea of, is it, like, promo? Like, wouldn't you, like, want as an artist, especially if you're, like a regular, like not someone like Beyonce or somebody, but you're somebody like an unknown, like, do you want your music streamed because then people will hear it? But then there's the idea is, what if that becomes more popular than yours and they're making money or profiting off that of your song? I think that's like, you do you know what I'm saying, Ryan? Like, I know you're looking at me a little puzzled, but like
no, I
the
kinda
idea
get
of
what you
like,
mean.
okay, so like if you take a local band and then they put their music out there, but somebody else decides to cover it, but what if that becomes big? And they start to make like a profit off of it, off your song. It becomes a whole like other game in a
Yeah.
sense. Because if you were looking at royalties and I'm gonna
But I
get like
feel
really
like that's not like
I'm gonna-
Facebook's problem at
no,
that
I
point,
know,
though,
but
right?
I'm gonna
That becomes
no, but
more
they're
of a
allowing it. They're allowing that to be streamed on their platform, and that's when they get involved. You know what I
Right.
mean?
okay.
Because
Yeah, that's fair.
if we take a film or something, my favorite thing to watch in a film is like listening to the music and stuff in the background because it could really make a scene.
Oh yeah.
And the whole idea is if you take a song, like Ryan, give me a song right now.
Give you a song. I don't know. Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles.
Okay, if you take Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles, he's gonna set a price for his song to be used in the next. Give me a movie. What's a movie coming out?
Dune.
All right, so we put Watermelon Sugar in there. He's gonna set a price for it. But what
Right.
the company can do is they can say, all right, we're just gonna buy the lyrics and such, but we're not gonna buy your version of it. So they could go take that and bring it to what's it, Niall, or like the guy from One Direction. If we take another
Yeah.
guy and Niall records it, Watermelon Sugar, but it's a different price and it's lower because the person's going to go after it for a lower amount. So technically they're saving money. So it just becomes this whole licensing thing and a whole thing. So like basically someone else is going to make a profit off your song and they're going to
Yeah.
even get like less money for it too, in a sense, if you look at it that in that lens too. So it's just, I don't know, that was just me more getting technical about things.
Well, no,
But like
it's fair.
it's
Yeah.
an interesting idea, I guess, in a sense that like, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. It just makes
I
me
mean,
upset.
even going to kind of like in a similar vein, we had. Do you guys remember that absolutely terrible movie, Suicide Squad?
I didn't see it.
I tried to block it from memory, but you brought it up.
Yeah, I've tried to put it in my repressed memory, but I still wake up in a cold sweat, screaming in my sleep,
I did see videos
reliving
of
that absolute.
I did see
piece
videos
of
of
garbage movie.
Jared Leto playing the Joker, and I was
Don't even
very
get me
very
started.
concerned, and I was like,
He did some like weird method
did-
acting
yeah,
stuff.
method
getting
acting.
it.
Yeah.
But
Heard that.
anyways, so when it comes to like like you're saying covers, I remember my biggest critique of that movie is it sounded like somebody was flipping through a radio state, like through radio stations,
yeah.
like for the soundtrack. Like seriously, that you can. It sounded like they just stitched together, and most of it was covers. A bunch
Well,
of
and that's
covers
why,
together to make a
'cause guess
soundtrack, and it
what?
sounded terrible.
The covers are cheaper. Because
Really?
no, because that's what I was trying to say to you. So if you take Watermelon Sugar, Harry Styles is gonna charge you way more than if you just buy the rights of the song and not use his version. Because you could say, okay, I'm gonna really lowball it, but let's say you pay him $30,000. That's not how much
Yeah.
he's getting. But let's say he's setting his price at $30,000 for the whole recording of him singing it and like his version. But if you say, all right, we're just gonna take the song, it's only going to cost you $15,000 because you're only getting half of it.
Yeah.
And then you could just you're going to go to Niall and you're going to offer him, hey, Niall, can you record this for $10,000? They just got away with not paying $5,000 total, and they saved $5,000 for the rest of the film. That's the whole idea. So like covers, you're already making less.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's
It's a
we just
whole-
went on a whole licensing thing.
Well, no,
but
it's like it.
and that's where it gets confusing. But that's where if we look back at the Facebook thing, they're just trying to protect their well-known artists, which
Yeah.
I get, because then they're going to have their lawyers coming after them saying like, why did you allow this? But at the same time, you feel for and I'm sure most musicians at the higher level all could relate back to a time when they started out and they were those people that were covering classic rock and like 80s tunes at a bar or a night, you know what I mean? And now we're in the middle of a pandemic where they can't do that and they're doing it on Facebook. So I don't know, maybe just Facebook should just, I don't know where I stand on this. This is very mixed. I understand, but I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like I understand it, but at the same time, it's the worst timing.
Yeah, I
You
don't know.
know,
Yeah.
it really is just the worst timing, I think, with everything going on in the world.
Yeah, so
But-
but let's move on because I could
Yeah,
talk about this
let's-
probably
we
all day. I
could-
could get into a whole licensing.
We could have a whole show about
Oh,
this.
yeah.
That'll be the next episode of When Sparks Fly.
No.
Is just talking about
That's-
music
no,
licensing.
no. Anyways,
No. Well,
Ryan,
going from music licensing to I don't know, teacher licensing. I
that's-
don't know where I was
that's not
going with
a
that.
segue at all, but
It's
okay.
listen, I'm working on it. My tea is still kicking in.
Okay.
So teacher departures are actually leaving schools scrambling to find substitutes, and schools are actually starting to change their substitute requirements, lighten up on them, if you will. So several states have seen surges of teachers filing for retirement or taking leaves of absence due to the pandemic, and many schools are now dealing with a shortage of teachers and substitutes. This is, of course, thanks to AP News. Kay Orzekowicz, I apologize, Kay, if you are listening.
Okay, you said cave.
I said Kay.
You said cave.
I said Kay Orzekowicz, an
Okay, whatever,
English
whatever.
teacher at Northwest Indiana Griffith High School, retired early because she felt her school's leadership was not fully committed to ensuring proper social distancing, and she was worried that not enough safety equipment would be provided for the students and teachers. And on top of all of that, if you add the tech requirements and pressure to record each class on video, she basically said, quote, "It just wasn't what I signed up for when I became a teacher," end quote.
All right. I have a lot to say about this.
Throughout Indiana alone, more than 600 teachers have filed for
Okay,
retirement.
and yeah, exactly. And that's not even, that's just like you said, just right there, that across the country, everybody's like facing that. A lot of teachers
Yeah.
are deciding to stay home, or I know people were on maternity leave too, and then they just decided to extend it and things like that so that they didn't have to go back during the middle of this. It's nuts out there. I don't I know like a lot of teachers are one of the, I don't have the real stats in front of me, but like they're one of the most underpaid jobs, I would.
Oh, in
at least-
America,
yeah, they're
no,
one
in
of
in
them.
other countries, like they get paid absolutely what they should be paid.
Yeah,
but in
and
America, the whole
there's some
teacher
places-
salary joke
I
isn't
know
a joke.
it
It's
was-
like
It was trending on like Facebook recently. There was like, it was like, there was some places around the world, around the country, that were only paying their teachers like $20,000, $30,000 a year, which is not a lot of money. It really is not. And especially on the location you live, like it's expensive to live in a place like New Jersey. It's really expensive.
the average salary for a high school teacher is approximately $50,000 a year.
which is not a
That's
lot.
according to pay scale.
That is not a lot.
Yeah, no, that's not a lot at all.
No, and I feel bad for these teachers because for years we've seen things online that have said, you have to pay for supplies like pencils, notebooks, pens, and you have to supply that for your students. And especially if you're teaching like kindergarten, first grade, think about all the arts, crafts, and things you have to bring in as a teacher, and it's usually coming out of your salary and not the school's budget.
Yeah.
So thinking about that, and then realizing now this year, a lot of people aren't even getting the proper PPE. They're going to have to buy hand sanitizer, buy gloves, buy that's not fair.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame them because this is not what they signed up for. Teachers usually, no teacher goes into teaching because of the salary. All teachers are going into it because they like want to teach.
Unless you want to be a college professor, yeah, don't go into
Yeah, and
teaching
I
for
mean,
the salary.
they want to go in for because they have a passion for teaching people and having students learn, and they like a certain subject. And that's the thing. They're not there for the salary. So the fact that these teachers are having to choose to stay home and retire early and things like that, it just makes me upset. It makes me really upset because these teachers have a passion for doing this. And the fact is a lot of them are constantly putting themselves on the line because of this.
Yeah, she actually meant to, the woman we were talking about, Kay, she actually retired so early. I believe she retired at the age of 57.
Which is also really not great either if you look at
Yeah.
it, because you're not going to get the most money you can get because you retire early.
Yeah, and we have an update, by the way. So that was around 50,000 was the average for a high school teacher. Just teaching in America, like depending on the state, the salaries actually range from 33,000 a year to 58,000 a year, and that's according to
Exactly.
Teach for America.
Exactly.
$33,000 a year is
Not enough.
you
to live.
cannot live on that. I don't know about others. Obviously, I don't know about other states, but in New Jersey,
Yeah, some states
that'll
it's
afford you like a shoe closet. In
if
Newark, maybe, you know.
like honestly, because like if you live in certain other states, it's like a lot cheaper, obviously, to live. I don't know all the statistics because I've never bought a house or anything or know anything like that. But even like if you go to states like PA, it's a lot cheaper to eat there than it is even to eat here. And it's like you got to look at those little things like, okay, so maybe you could teach there, but then you got to realize the salary is probably going to be lower. I remember as I've said on this show before, I went to school in PA. My salary for my job was $7.25 an hour. It was way less than minimum wage because the way of living there was a lot less. That was only last year, by the way. That wasn't like 5 years ago. That was $7.25 an hour I was making.
Yeah.
And our minimum wage, I think, here in Jersey is 11. So
Yeah, it just went up to
Yeah.
11. I think.
so exactly, the way of living is a little different, and I don't know what it's like in where was this, Indiana?
Yes.
Yeah, Indiana. Like they again, it might be cheaper to live, but then you got to realize salaries are going to be less then too. I don't know, Kyle. What do you think about all this?
It's kind of tricky because sure, teachers do deserve more. They play an essential role, but if you make the price too high, then you lose the people doing it to make a difference. You do it for the people chasing the money.
Exactly.
And then you get a whole line of teachers that are just like,
But then couldn't you
do
say that for
whatever.
any job then?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, the people who make a bigger difference deserve to be paid more, but then you don't get the people who want to make a difference. And it's just
Exactly.
money hungry people. And then everything.
Well, that's why we always get like bothered by corporate leaders and stuff, because they're usually people that are making like a huge salary and don't necessarily care about the ethics and the lower people in their company and things like that. I don't know. Like
It's crazy. And you know, the interesting part about this story too, though, and this I suppose is a bright side to this story, is they're actually, well, you know, I don't know if it's a bright side.
No, I was gonna say, I was gonna say
They're actually lowering the they're changing and lowering the requirements to become a substitute teacher for some schools.
Sometimes I think that's a great thing, but also is it such a
So
great
it's a great, I guess
thing?
you could say it's a great thing for like people like us,
Yeah.
kids our age, you know, graduating college or going through
Mhm.
grad school. You know, one of my best friends is going through grad school right now, and she's being a substitute teacher.
Yeah, I have a
And
friend that's doing the same.
yeah, and you know, it's awesome to see like, hey, here are some new avenues. You can actually more easily become a sub now.
Yeah, and
and get that
it's a
experience.
salary
Right.
too, which is nice too. So if you're
Yeah.
looking for a part-time job, and especially like now when a lot of people are unemployed.
But at
But
like the
is it
same
a good
time, yeah,
thing?
but then
'Cause,
you go
like-
at the same time.
See, do you have the requirements in
Uh,
front of you of like what it takes now to be a substitute teacher?
I'm trying to find them right now. The article actually isn't very specific. I don't think they've released.
Because is it
the
just like
exact
you need a high school
requirements, but they've
degree and
eased it-
like
no.
you need a high school
actual-
degree and you need like some kind of certification of some sort?
I believe you need to be obviously. I think you need to be of like in college and on
Yeah.
track to become a teacher.
Okay.
There
all
are
right.
certain requirements to become a sub. You need like to be a certain level of student with a certain number of hours and in certain programs. But they're easing the requirements to make kids in these programs not have to have as many specific requirements.
And are these changes that you're mentioning, are these nationwide or state per state?
It depends on the state. It depends on
Yeah.
like the school. I mean, you know, not even
That's
just the
true.
state. Like it's literally school district by school district.
Right.
But still, it's weird. It's a weird balance because, like I said, on one hand, I'm sitting here like, oh, that's awesome because I know people who are wanting to become subs, and you know, I know how hard it can be to, you know, seeing my friends going out and trying to get substitute jobs.
Right.
So it's awesome to see that now it might be easier. But on the other hand, if you look at it, say, from like a parent's perspective, obviously I'm not a parent, but I can't imagine 100% of parents out in the US might be super excited for, I don't know, like,
Okay.
you
I
know,
think I found
Jamie or whatever in college
I found
teaching their little, like, Timmy.
I found some of the stuff for New Jersey. I believe it says you have to have 60 credits from a college You have
60?
yeah, 60 or at
That's
least
a
60 hours of
sophomore.
college credits to obtain a county substitute certification.
Wow.
Generally, no experience is required for county substitute teaching certification. However, some counties may prefer. So, like, depending on where you're going, like, it's county by county, not even by the state. Criminal history background check. You will not be employed by any New Jersey school until you have undergone a criminal history background check. Your fingerprints
makes
will be
sense.
run
Yeah.
through the database of the New Jersey State Police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And then you have to just contact your local county officer and school district. Because I even know
60 credit hours is
yeah, it's not a lot.
sophomore.
And what I was going to say was, Kyle, you even know we both went to private school for high school.
Right.
The requirements are way different for private school too. Like they're a little more lenient on what you have in private
Yeah.
school than you are in a public school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some
60
some high
hours,
schools you could
what?
become a full-time teacher with only just like your certification and such, like right after. You don't even need like some schools I think you need like a master's degree and stuff. So like, you have to have your teaching certificate. You don't need it in some schools. So
You want to hear something crazy? I
What?
just found it. The Missouri Board of Education made it easier to become a sub. The previous requirement, 60 hours of college credit, which I think that's shockingly
no,
low.
it doesn't. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
the
That's
idea
2
is
years.
that's no. The idea is hopefully if you only have 2 years, you'd maybe have your associate's degree by then,
Kinda.
and then like I guess
So instead of 60 hours of college credit for the Missouri Board of Education, now you only need to have a high school diploma and complete a 20-hour online training course.
wait. You
And
know what's
pass a
even
background
better?
check.
What's even better? I
What?
just realized,
What?
Kyle, technically, because I've known you for a little bit,
Yeah.
you as a senior in high school could have technically been a substitute teacher because you had graduated with your associate's degree.
That is true. I don't know how
That's-
prepared I would be for that though.
Like that's
That's
nuts. I mean, you would obviously still have to
disturbing
go through
to
your
me.
background check and stuff, but you
Yeah.
could have at the age of 18 be a substitute teacher.
That is disturbing information to me.
Yeah.
This is not meant to offend.
Oh, I don't blame you.
However, listen, I went to a school where I knew some of like the
But I mean, okay,
airheaded people wanted to become teachers. I cannot imagine certain high school kids teaching at like an elementary
I guess
school.
what I just don't understand is like we've had this school discussion for a while, but like I just don't know why these schools just don't go virtual at that point because all the teachers would still teach from home if they can. Because that's the thing, and I understand virtual is not much better, but like if you have a substitute teacher coming in the classroom, it might be different if it's there for like 2 months, but I don't know. Like most of the time when I had substitutes when I was little, we didn't do anything.
It's all about the money, money, money.
but
That just started playing in
No,
my
but
head.
I'm being serious though. Like I mean, Kyle.
No,
I mean,
that's why.
Do you, Kyle Ryan? Do you remember like going in through high school and middle school and stuff, and being like on a day of class and a substitute was there, and you were so excited because that meant you did nothing.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
had those.
but like looking back at that, like if I showed up to my college course and there was a sub and we did nothing, I would be pissed.
Yeah,
like-
that's true. It's
no,
different.
I know, and I guess that's different because you're college now, and you wouldn't have class then because the college professor would just be like, "I'm done. I'm not having class," or it's going to be completely online because I'm going to set it online. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
not like I don't
I
know.
haven't had a substitute in college yet. It's always been I'm sick, class canceled.
Or like here's some work I'm going to post.
Yeah,
Just do it.
exactly.
Like yeah, like I don't know, like I don't know.
But it's I don't know. And again, like if you look at it kind of from a parent's perspective, again, it's hard for me to look at it from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, I was gonna
'cause
say,
I
do you
don't
have,
have
like, a
kids. No, 'cause I
kid?
don't have kids, but I can only imagine, what would parents think if they're sending their kids to, middle school, high school, and they're at that like key stage of learning when it comes to, like childhood
That's why I
development.
just don't-
Like, do you really
like,
want someone who
like, and-
just graduated high school
No,
to be
yeah.
teaching your kids?
And that's
Yeah,
why-
how would I feel? I don't think I would feel comfortable teaching freshmen right out of high school.
yeah.
Like that
You wouldn't get
That's weird to
respect,
me.
honestly.
Exactly.
Oh,
You
that
wouldn't
that's
get-
a
then-
whole nother issue.
kids are evil.
Kids are awful.
That's just kids. Listen, I love kids. Kids are adorable. Kids are cute and sweet. I have so many little cousins. They are like little devils sometimes. I'm serious. So I cannot imagine like being a high schooler or just graduating high school, like a freshman in college, trying to pay your tuition. I get it, doing sub
So
work.
actually, I have
But
there's an interesting
That's just crazy to
question
me.
that we're getting thrown at us. Have any of you ever had a sub for months, like on end, like when you were in school, like because of like maternity leave or something, or just because like, I don't know, an injury or surgery or anything like that, that your teacher just like, did you guys ever have that happen to you?
I
Yeah.
feel like I did, and like I
Maternity
faintly remember in middle school, like we had this teacher for like the first couple weeks of the semester. Then she's gave a whole announcement like, "All right, I got to go and get something done." And then the rest of the class, we had someone else. The problem is, I can't remember any of my time with that other person.
So I actually do have a story. I have two stories, but the one story is more significant in this scenario. I had a teacher in high school that she went out for like 2 or 3 weeks because she was like, I don't know, like she had some kind of surgery or something. So she went out for 2 or 3 weeks, which was fine. Okay, we had
Yeah.
another substitute. Someone got thrown in, and they taught us. It was a math class, so they were a teacher at the school, and they just took on that class for the next 2 or 3 weeks, which was like, okay, cool. We got to the final exam because this was close to the end of the semester. That final exam was all 2 or 3 weeks that she wasn't there. All the material was that exam.
Oh.
So we didn't, and like our teacher didn't cover it in the best way. So we all did awful. We all failed the final exam.
That's nice.
I remember that was the only exam I've ever failed. And it was because my entire class also failed because it was mostly material from the 3 week period that she was gone, which doesn't make sense on a teaching point. That's another whole point.
Yeah.
But anyway, our whole class failed, and she had to curve the whole exam because we all failed. I think the highest grade was like a 55.
Oh,
It
dude.
was like awful. Like I'm telling you, like we all failed, and I'm horrible at math on a normal day, but like we all failed, and that just says something too. Like because every teacher's different too. Everybody has a different style of teaching, and so she probably assumed we were going to learn fine because the teacher had been a 20-year math teacher at the school or whatever, and we were going to be fine, but we weren't.
Yeah.
So I guess it just says something that like, even though you might have experience under your belt, it might be different. Like, you know what I mean? You could be a substitute coming back after not teaching for like 10 years because you went into retirement, but now you're coming back to help during this. And you might be a little rusty, but you also, you teach differently. And if you're a teacher, your kids are used to a certain way, it could be a little hard. So that's why I'm saying, I don't know, virtual. I don't know why these schools didn't go virtual.
Yeah, honestly, I'm still of the mind, and if you want to be angry at me, you can, feel free to angry tweet me at Ryan the Trick.
You can angry
on
tweet
this
me
opinion.
too, A Marino 123.
There you go. But and of course, all opinions expressed here reflect the opinions of
The host.
the hosts and not that of the station. That said, I really don't think a lot of schools should have opened back up.
I feel like it's just like,
Yeah.
in a sense, like a ticking time bomb, because I
It's-
think it's like very
It's
much
a
like
ticking time bomb that's like halfway through going off. right
yeah,
now.
because it's like some schools are just not making it. I know
we're mid explosion.
I was telling Ryan when we were trying to come up with some stories for today, I was saying that my middle school started school last week. 2 days in, there was already 19 cases. There
Yeah.
was like an outbreak, and they had to shut down, and everybody's virtual now.
And I will always go back to this one example. It's so old now, I don't care. I will always go back to it. That freaking picture. I think it was
Yeah,
a school
in
in
Georgia.
Georgia. First day of school, flooded hallway. I think like 3 kids in that picture were wearing a mask. And it's just like, yeah, it's just like we have the technology. It's like back to have you guys ever watched The $1 Million Man? Super old TV show. I feel older than I
You're
should be.
dating yourself,
Yeah, I know.
apparently.
I'm dating myself, and I'm only 22. Dear
Yeah.
Lord. But anyways, $1 Million Man. We have the technology. We can rebuild him. Yeah, we have the technology. We can do classes online. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and I mean,
because
like,
we've done
I
it.
think we could all agree to like, the virtual is just not the same, and I know because I was saying earlier that like we're looking at a computer with squares, and you have to try to pay attention and focus, and especially if you're a teacher that now has like 50 students in one class. I get it; it's hard. And you have to keep everybody focused and actually teach something. I get it. You want to try to keep people connected, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I could go on about this
It's
too.
rough, and we can also say like, listen, also college professors are retiring too.
Yeah.
So it's not just these high school and middle school and younger
Yeah.
teachers. It's also college professors. It might even be I would go as far to say it might even be harder on college professors, maybe trying to deal with.
It depends. I mean, like,
COVID.
think
It
about
probably
it though.
depends
No,
on
I
the
mean, think about it.
situation,
If you're
but-
like a teacher that like maybe only has like a class with like 8 people in it. Like I had a class last
Yeah,
semester,
that's
we only had
true.
8 people.
I wouldn't say not in-person stuff might be harder on college professors. I'd just say
No,
dealing
but
with
then saying we
online
were doing
learning in
virtual and it
general.
was like
Yeah.
8 people in the class. So like that's easy because you have kids that are focused, and especially if it's in your major, like focused on the certain track, because you would think, oh, these people are going into a career in this. They're going to be focused, and they're going to come to class. They're going to pay attention. They're going to
Yeah.
submit the work,
Yeah.
whatever.
But then
But, like-
on the other side of the coin, as a freshman, we all have probably taken a class that's what, like an 80-person lesson.
Yeah, and the other thing is, but if you're looking at it like you're comparing it to that to like elementary school, think about how are you wrangling like a first grader onto a call and being like, don't talk to your friends right now, like we're gonna learn, we're gonna do like how do you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
Like it's too hard, and especially think about if you're
Or
a
just
parent of like
distractions
of
from
multiple
home,
kids.
too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a messed up, crazy.
And with like lower kids, like younger kids, they might not even have the technology requirements to have it.
Exactly. So then, especially think about if you're a parent of like a few kids too, and then you have to like supply laptops for all your kids, and the Wi-Fi has to be good, so you're like in class. Like I get it. I don't know. This became into a whole like school conversation again.
We
so
could
we're
we
gonna...
could once again go on for hours about this, but for now we will be taking a short break before we kick it off with some lighter news. I guess I'll give you a little teaser. A lot of Americans are saying lockdown has made them a better person. More on that
What?
here in a minute. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. We'll be right back.
Every child deserves a quality education. That's why NJEA members, teachers, and educational support professionals are proud to partner with parents to provide students with the support they need to be successful in school and in life. When families and schools work together, our children are the winners. Go to njea.org to learn more about the great things happening in New Jersey's public schools.
This message sponsored by the New Jersey Education Association, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
We are back here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Amanda and I were jamming out to some Harry Styles.
You
but,
killed my jam. I was jamming out to Harry.
but we got to get back to the show, Amanda.
Ah,
We have
aggravation.
some positive news.
What? Positive news on the Monday show?
Positive news
What?
during 2020. It's
What?
crazy.
Apparently, according to the Good News Network, we know Ryan's favorite news source, 2/3 of Americans say lockdown has made them a better person. Wait, before we even continue on this, Kyle, do you think this year, 2020, with like the pandemic, has made you a better person?
Yeah, I guess a better person. Yeah, though in a way, if you look at it in a way, a better person, yes. I've definitely become a lot more productive lately. I learned the basics of 3D modeling in the early stages while we were all still new to this.
Mhm.
Then, like just last month, I started up my YouTube channel again and streaming. So now I feel like I've taken on a bit more than I can do.
All right.
But I've definitely
Do you
become
ever?
more productive.
Do you feel like? Because I know personally for me, I felt very like maybe procrastinating a little bit, and sometimes I push things off because I'm like, I got all the time now, like, and I feel like I feel like I need more motivation at times. I don't know if you feel the same way.
There were some areas like over the summer I'm like, there's really nothing to do anymore. I did like my work, like actual job, but now like I finished that for the day. What do I do? Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da, da.
Yeah.
And you feel
When
like
there
you're
was
just
so
wasting
much I
time.
could do.
But on the lighter note of that, we're saying the positive stuff, obviously, so we're going to
Right.
stay on that. This poll, it was of 2,000 Americans over the age of 21, looked at the positive changes to come from all of this craziness. Results revealed 55% of respondents were a little embarrassed by some of the things they valued pre-quarantine, and many months at home gave 70% a chance to learn more about themselves. And this was all done by Criven and
Yeah.
conducted by One Poll. So it's actually pretty interesting because I mean, if we look at quarantine, I feel like I personally tried to force myself to do a lot of things just to stay active, like with my craft and with a lot of like jobs, and I started applying for more things and blah 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 blah. Like I feel like I was constantly trying to do things and try to be productive and look at things from a positive outlook. I'm home, like maybe I could try this, maybe I could, I don't know. Like I see where this is coming from. And I don't know. Ryan, I did not get to ask you, do you feel like quarantine has made you positive? Or
It
have a
has
positive outlook?
certainly added some, I'd say, positive numbers on my weight on the scale. I've seen a net increase in
Well, it's
my weight, but no, I have no. Jokes aside, yeah, no, I do feel like, I've always loved food and I've loved cooking, and during quarantine, it's actually given me an excuse to cook more.
okay.
I've started posting pictures of my food to like social media too. So I don't know. I've really just started enjoying cooking, and I know a lot of people actually on this said that they really would like actually prefer to continue the hobbies that they learned inside of
Well, and I think you
quarantine.
can in a sense,
afterwards.
but like I do want to touch on what they said. So top things people said they no longer took for granted, no longer take for
Oh,
granted in
I
general,
love this.
is spending quality time in person with family or friends. That was 52%. I'll give you a little percent.
Yeah.
52.
Hugs.
Hugs, 41%. Traveling to new destinations, 32%. A relaxing walk in the park, 31%, which never mind, I'll come back to that. Shopping in a store, 31%. A date night at a restaurant, 31%. Extended family gatherings, 30%. Attending events in person, 28%. Stopping for a cup of coffee on the way to work, 25%. Meeting new people. And we just keep going on with coffee dates, post-work happy hour, chatting with coworkers, having a quiet evening at home, an afternoon on the beach, all these kinds of things. And you know what? Looking at the first few, I can definitely relate. I miss hugging people and I miss like going to live events and like feeling like, oh, look, I have money in my account now. Let me go spend it on things. And now I'm just like, I could save. I could stay home and watch Netflix. What? So
Like,
I
wait a
don't
minute,
know.
I don't have to spend money on concerts.
and-
I can just give it to Mark Zuckerberg. Oof.
And but
Might
anyway,
get in trouble for that one. That's all good.
But
though.
anyway, as you're streaming on Facebook Live.
As we're streaming on Facebook Live.
anyways, but like, yeah, those kinds of things I know I personally took for granted. I didn't understand the park thing because like, I feel like people can go to the park anytime they want. That wasn't something that got taken away from them really.
Well, I think it's more like going to the park
And
with
just
people,
relaxing
and yeah, because now you go to the park and you can walk around, but or hopefully everybody's wearing masks,
Or,
or
like,
they have like the
distance from
distance
yourself.
circles and whatnot. But kind of like you said, I miss going to the park like with my friends and just like hanging out, screwing around, like hugging,
Yeah, I
throwing a
know.
frisbee, whatever,
went
all the
to-
cliche stuff you see in movies. It's fun.
I went to a live event yesterday and I saw faces and people and I was like, wow, people still exist. Like I was like, it was like such a nice thing. And even if it was for a short time, and at times I was like, I'm like a little nervous because like obviously still the virus is still going on. It was so nice to be out in public and not like feel like I'm in my house. Like I actually got to go out and I got to sing in front of people. What? Like the whole thing is just, I don't know. This has made me definitely like reanalyze how I really miss going out, and I take for granted even just coming back to the studio like 3 weeks ago. Like I missed being here on campus, and I know that might sound a little scary still in the middle of a pandemic coming to a crowded college campus, but it's been pretty quiet here. And even just having the buildings and walking through the halls, it's just been so nice to be back. And I never thought I would take for granted like being at a college campus.
Yeah, I feel weird kind of saying this. So people at the station know that it's hard to keep me off the air. I love being on air and I want to do it for the rest of my life. But it's kind of one of those things where, I would always get excited to come, but I never in a million years would realize how much I would miss it if just out of nowhere it was like taken away from me for like 6 months.
Exactly.
It was probably one of the best days of 2020 when I came back in like to studio to help Annabella set up like all the safety measures and whatnot and actually try and do the show live for the first time back in studio.
Kyle, what's something that you missed that you really you've been taking for granted for most of your life and now you realize I need it?
That's a tough one. I obviously like I've never been much of an outdoor person, so like I can't really say much of those, but like just being able to get out of the house need be was something I
Yeah.
miss. Friends, I think that's just a big one for everything, for
Yeah.
everybody.
I feel like just even like that level of like going out with friends or something and not feeling like anxious. Like,
Yeah.
because now
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'll go out with friends now and like we'll wear masks or whatever.
You just kind of
And it's
feel
just
like
you feel like
nervous.
like I have to bring my hand sanitizer with me everywhere and be like, all right, I'm gonna scrub my hands. We're good.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you know, like I don't know.
But like most of the things like I enjoy doing, I've really hasn't put a halter on that. Streaming, YouTube, art stuff, songwriting, none of that really came to a halt. In fact, they probably increased once
Do you
lockdown
miss
hit.
collaborating like with art with people in person?
A little. It's more that so like I've noticed with the online classes, the social aspect is just gone. You show up to class, you learn, you leave. There's no conversation in between. And
Yeah.
that's definitely the biggest downside, I would say, to the online class. So I would say that's one of the things about lockdown that I've taken for granted. And
Especially in art classes. I mean, dude, if I could snap my fingers and just like go back a year when I was in photo 3 with, you know, Professor Klaus and all my friends. And I mean, you know, I talk about it on air. There were nights I'd be there till 3, 4 in the
Yeah.
morning working on photo stuff. But like, you know, and at the time, obviously you're like, man, this is fun, but also this kind of stinks. But now looking back at it, I'm like,
yeah.
God, like I miss that.
even
You
going
know?
to breakfast before class with my friends, that was such a
Exactly.
great thing.
It's
And
small stuff like that. Now I walk downstairs in my sweatpants, grab a cup of coffee, and sit in front of my computer for 8 hours
No,
on
yeah,
Tuesdays, you
yeah.
know? But
yep.
before I would have an 8-hour day and it would just fly by because I'm running around campus.
Yeah, and then you got
Right.
that like vibe of going outside and like getting fresh air and like meeting people and seeing people, and that was
yeah,
just
now I literally have to crack my window to get fresh air.
yeah,
on
and
some days.
that's sad. And I mean like obviously like I said earlier, like for me being a performer, like being in a theater again or like a concert venue, like I miss that. I miss the crowds and having like beer be spilled on the floor or like on you at a venue, or I don't know, being crowded in like a little like theater where like everybody's on top of you and your legs are smushed against somebody else. Like I miss that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is definitely an interesting poll that like you never really thought you would miss those things that even bothered you in a sense at one time,
Yeah.
like of being in crowded spaces and things like that. Like you miss them now. So
Yeah. So
That's true.
quarantine in 2020, I think just in general has been a great time for self-reflection for many people. And we hope that all our radio listeners out there have had some time
To
for some
reflect.
self-reflection to
enjoy
reflect.
themselves, self-care.
Exactly. Please, if you are able to, you know, there's always good time for self-care and taking care of yourself and all of that. But anyways, I don't know. It's just to kind of end on a positive note. Maybe pick up some new hobbies if you get the chance, if you're interested.
Mhm.
Maybe listen to music if you like music. I don't know who doesn't like music, but yeah, just take this time to become a better person. Anyways, it is just about the top of the hour here on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Thank you all very much for tuning in to the Monday edition of the Morning Buzz. Quick traffic update for those of you who are near Montclair State University. The approach to campus is absolute trash on 46 East, so be aware of that. And hey, maybe if you're stuck on 46 East right now listening to us, feel free to stay tuned, for we have coming up in, I believe it's an hour, When Sparks Fly.
It's actually not
No,
today. No,
it's not today.
No, it's not today. You tried to plug and it just
No, I
didn't
tried to
work.
plug and it
No,
failed.
there was
Anyways,
we had a break this week.
Ah.
We did a live show last week, so we didn't have a show today. So,
heartbreaking. That said, here in a few minutes, we will be continuing Amanda's training, so you can stay tuned to that. I have to plug a Showmo somewhere, so that'll be it.
yeah.
Like I said,
Stay tuned for some tunes that I'll be spinning.
let's rock out together, shall we?
All right. Let's just end this now.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's edition of the Morning Buzz. We will see you back tomorrow.
For the Tuesday Buzz with Felipe and Tara.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.